When it was released in 1984, even creator Wes Craven couldn't predict that we'd still be talking about A Nightmare on Elm Street today, with a franchise of 9 films being built around a murdered pile of dreaming teens. At the centre of the bloodshed is the man with the best jumper in the history of show business, Edward Scissorhands' pervert uncle Freddy Krueger. Turns out that over the course of 9 movies you can rack up a lot of interesting facts, and with the 10th film currently in development with New Line, time to dust off the glove and dive in. I'm Adam from Whatculture.com, and here are 10 things you didn't know about Freddy Krueger. Number 10, Robert Englund almost didn't play him in the sequel. As the studio discovered when they cast Jackie Earle Haley in the role for a 2010 reboot, Robert Englund is a damn hard man to replace. Simply put, the man was Freddy Krueger, and any attempts to oust him from under the fedora have met with disaster, as New Line found out when they nearly didn't have Englund reprise the role for Nightmare 2. See, Robert had realised how important he was to the franchise and quite rightly upped his fee. The studio thought, whatever, it's just a dude under a rubber mask after all, and set about replacing him. In the end they hired a stunt guy to play him, but the test shoots went terribly and New Line returned to Englund with shame in their hearts and money in a briefcase.
I love you. Come back to me.
Number 9, Jackie Earle Haley was almost in the original. Speaking of Jackie Earle Haley, there's a persistent rumour that the man who would play Freddy was very nearly cast in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, in none other than the role of Glenn, played by debuting Johnny Depp. The story goes that Johnny accompanied his pal Jackie to his audition for the film when Craven spotted handsome Johnny Handsome Depp and asked him to audition as well. Now, while this rumour hasn't been confirmed by Haley, he didn't rule it out, saying, "It is possible that I auditioned for Nightmare on Elm Street and don't remember. It's also possible I could have been sitting next to Johnny in the waiting room." Nice and vague from your man Haley there.
I'll let you know.
Number 8, he's a charitable soul. Robert Englund doesn't don the makeup anymore, having officially hung up his hat, put that jumper in the wardrobe and do whatever it is you do with knife gloves when you're not wearing them. But he did make a brief return for one last job back in 2014, appearing in full makeup and everything at a horror event called Flashback Weekend. In a kayfabe-shattering development, turns out Freddy did it for a good cause. All proceeds going towards updating and preserving a drive-in cinema in Dixon, Illinois. Why did Englund care enough about drive-ins to help raise the cash? He lost his virginity in one. Think about that. Number 7, his insane Bollywood twin. Bollywood is mad, a gyrating hot pot of mind-blowingly daft action set pieces, gut-wrenchingly emotive facial expressions, and dance numbers, I guess. Oh, and it's famous for not giving a solitary damn for intellectual property, ripping off dozens of Hollywood properties in its long and loony history. And of course, there's been a Nightmare on Elm Street ripoff. In 1993, the Ramsey brothers, a king of Bollywood horror, made Mahakal, you get it, aka the monster, aka the time of death, aka, look, it's obviously Nightmare on Elm Street, look at his big knife hand. College kids dying in dreams, dude with a burnt face, elaborate song and dance numbers, a clown called Canteen who dresses up as Michael Jackson, and okay, maybe those last two aren't canon. Number 6, he once threatened to kill George H.W. Bush. Who hasn't though? Am I right? He knows what he did. He knows what he did. So once upon a time in the 1980s, there was a short-lived puppet sitcom called DC Follies that was half Cheers, half Spitting Image. Fred Willard ran a bar in DC populated by rubber caricature politicians of the day. In one episode, George Bush Sr. appears, and because why not, f*** you, so does Freddy Krueger, who then tries to kill him.
It's time to start trimming the bushes!
Before being dissuaded from it because, after all, if George Bush dies, Dan Quayle becomes president.
You didn't get my vote.
Satire. Applause. Number 5, he almost had bosoms. Boobs are, by and large, excellent, but on Robert Englund, well, that's my new nightmare. In Nightmare 3, Dream Warriors, which is bloody great by the way, and has Lawrence Fishburne in it, look at his tiny young face.
Yeah, I love you too.
There's a scene where a nurse seduces Joey before it's revealed that her tongue is way too long and yeah, she's Freddy instead. Well, it turns out that scene was supposed to look a little differently. Instead of turning from hot lady into fully clothed Freddy off camera, originally just her head was going to change to Krueger's, while the rest of her body, including heaving lady boobs, would stay the same. They filmed it with actress in full makeup, but everyone agreed it was just... no. Number 4, one of his most famous lines was improvised. We're sticking with Dream Warriors and one of Freddy's best ever kills.
As soon as I get out of here, I'm going to Los Angeles to be an actress. I'm gonna be on TV.
Jennifer is watching TV when Freddy appears on screen and it cuts to static. She tries to fix it by thumping it before, surprise, out comes weird TV arms and Freddy's head morphs out of the set. He shouts this.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV.
He then shouts this.
Fuck the prime time, bitch.
Before slamming her head into the telly, electrocuting her. Originally the line was just supposed to be, this is it Jennifer, your big break on TV, but after a few takes, Englund improvised, welcome to primetime, bitch, and they kept it. It's possibly his most iconic line ever, except maybe, this is God. Number 3, he's a porn star. There's a film called A Wet Dream on Elm Street. It has a love glove with 4 vibrators on it, and he kills people by sending them into orgasm-induced pleasure comas. That's enough about that. Number 2, there's a Freddy Krueger Day. Yep, in Los Angeles, September the 12th is Freddy Krueger Day. People tend not to celebrate it anymore, with it being the day after the anniversary of 9/11. But yeah, in 1991, to hype Freddy's Dead, the Final Nightmare, which was being prepped as the last one of the franchise, of course it wasn't, the producers successfully lobbied the city of Los Angeles to turn September 12th into Freddy Krueger Day. How do you celebrate Freddy Krueger Day? Are there gifts? Are there carolers? Do you have to spend the whole day awake?
Don't fall asleep in there.
Answers on a postcard. And number 1, Adam Sandler stopped a Krueger prequel. Adam Sandler has been responsible for a great many crimes against humanity, yet makes all the money in the world, so the system works. Turns out one of the things a perennial purveyor of laughless dreck took from us was a Nightmare on Elm Street prequel directed by John McNaughton, director of Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, and of course, Wild Things. Wild Things. The film would have had an interesting premise. It wouldn't have been about the real world, but rather focus on Freddy's days in hell. Alas, Little Nicky, the Adam Sandler demon film, had just come out, and New Line didn't want to go back to hell. And so, in a fit of irony, Freddy Krueger, serial killer in people's dreams, was smacked down by the Sandman. And that's our list. Did we miss any out? Tell us about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter here. I'm Adam from Whatculture.com, and I'll see you soon.